Hello, my friend. I had a hard time coming up with a good message to share today, and really all I came across was a topic. Um, it's a very important one. It might really be at the core of our very being. The fact that you're understanding this is already what we're talking about. Programming, right? When you look at the human brain and when you try to model consciousness, living consciousness as um, a computer system, I would say it's an oversimplification, but just for the sake of this argument, let's use that. Your your hardware, your conscious hardware, it needs to be programmed, and without that programming, we seemingly don't really know how to function with other people. Um, Communication is difficult. Sharing ideas past just I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, becomes difficult. Right? Crying as a child, as a baby, as an infant, crying is a method to gather attention and communicate in a pretty crude way. But language is something that we need to have programmed into us, right? We take school as the institute that we use to program this software into our hardware, right? And repetition is the tool that we use to reinforce the information that we've absorbed. So, with that very basic uh, analysis of living systems, just equating them to computers. Funny enough, being that computers might be a language that people would understand a little bit better than how we work, because it's a mystery, right? Um, Programming is everything. And the reason I bring this up, it wasn't to talk about, okay, yes, this is how we learn, this is how we grow as conscious beings, this is how we absorb new information from other members of our species, typically in a historical context, to learn from the lessons of the past. The real focus that I have in this topic is programming as a tool to improve our consciousness. It has limitations. Unfortunately, there's too many people today that are being reinforced of certain programming in a vacuum chamber. Especially when it comes to religion, philosophical beliefs, and schools of thought. Um, when we become overly programmed, just like any normal computer that is programmed to do one specific thing, we lose our objectivity to continue programming our brain in a general sense. Okay, because in case you haven't noticed, pretty much once you are an adult of our species, it is your responsibility to educate yourself, right? What was once a parent assigned task is now a self assigned task. If you want to learn more, you need to learn more, right? If you want to understand something, you need to try to understand something, right? It has nothing to do with other people. So, when using these tools to stretch your consciousness, just understand that, especially when it comes to religion, you are learning a programming language that is filled with thousands of years. of propaganda. For Christians, Muslims, thousands of years. For Hindus, Buddhists, 5,000 plus years of propaganda. We call it dogma when it's in reference to doctrine and spiritual information. But dogma is this extraneous thing that has developed within the programming. You can really almost, if you ask me, you can kind of equate it to a computer virus, really. And not all computer viruses are bad, right? Some, funny enough, might, of course, like disable the security system of the computer and make it at risk for further issues. But a lot of these issues might make the computer perform better in some strange way, right? Let's say that there's a computer virus that specifically goes through the user's computer and strips out any large files, right? Just destroys them. Well, that might be useful, right, as a way to speed up the computer, but you're obviously losing data in the process. So on the other hand, a computer virus that is programmed to not touch the data, but simply to lift information and provide it to someone else for that information to be stolen, not great, right? That's the limitation of our human programming systems, okay? They get impregnated with dogma. They get impregnated with superstition. They get impregnated with errors. And I don't mean errors in the sense that, there's something that is completely holistically wrong. I think there are very few works of faith that contain those types of errors, but they're slight errors. A slight reinforcing of perhaps a sexist ideal, right? Like that's a good topic for religion, especially when a lot of these faith systems are used in a social context to establish rule sets for society and such. Hinduism is a great example if you look into the history of kind of how Indian culture has kind of developed through the lens of Hinduism. But these are hugely useful sets of programming. People have spent thousands of years making them. They shouldn't be ignored, but do not be afraid to stretch your legs here and to understand that there are all kinds of different programming that you can use, that you can make for yourself to learn about things that you'd like to learn about without needing to reinforce yourself in a very biased opinion. Be careful. This is dire stuff, and often people will live their entire life until they are laying on their deathbed, until they start to have these conversations with themselves. I would urge you to do it now. Do it today. Don't do it tomorrow. Think about this. What have you learned? What programming have you had? How has it affected you? And try to remove your bias from the situation to understand that not all of that programming may have worked as intended, okay? Good things to keep in mind. This is a little drawn out, longer format. Hopefully I got to a point that made somewhat sense. So, have a good rest of your day, my friend. Thanks for listening to my message here, and I'm looking forward to sharing the next one with you. Bye.